Wait, what? Oh, out of money. Okay. There you go. There you go. Bit more money. Okay, can I carry on playing now? All right. Fine. Oh, come on! Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and this is the Broken Meeple. Welcome to another video review. It's expansion season, it seems to be right now, since Essen has ended. Granted, there's some great games that have come since Essen or from Essen, and I will go on to reviewing some of those in due course. But of course, there's plenty of expansions that have also come from there, and well, they're worth talking about as well, particularly if they've got some issues that need to be addressed. We'll get on to one of those later. But this is for an innovative card crafting game that AEG put out called Mystic Vale. Now, Mystic Vale is, I wouldn't say polarizing, but a lot of people kind of just haven't tried it or weren't that blown away by it. I've personally quite got into it. You know, it's a very innovative system, and I really respect innovation in games. It takes deck building and slightly flips it on its head to create what's called card crafting. You are still building like an efficient engine, you know, an efficient deck of cards, but rather than adding cards to the deck, so you start off with 5 and then you end up with 10, 15, 20, here you always have 20 cards, but there's room for free sleeve advancements to put into each card, and so you can create the card that you want. Do you want one card to be great at generating mana? Do you want it to be loads of victory points? Do you want it to just have a bunch of symbols to buy other cards? Whatever, up to you. Do you want to create several perfect free advancement cards? Or do you want to have lots of little advancement cards? Entirely up to you. It gave you some great options, some great flexibility, and it was just a neat, innovative system that I've kind of caught on to, and people that I've shown this game to have also caught on to it as well. It's cool, looks the business, artwork is great, so, you know, a decent game for me, and I think it came somewhere in the low end of my top 100, but that's not to say bad, okay? This is from somebody who's played hundreds of games, possibly thousands at this point. I kind of have to say that if something goes into my top 100, it's a decent game. So, you know, props to Mystic Vale. Well, this is for another expansion to it. It's already had, I believe, 2 expansions now. Now we have Manor Storm. This is the newest one to hit the end, and, well, the expansions have kind of added new mechanics as time goes on, but mainly they just add more advancements. Because one of the problems Mystic Vale has had since its birth was that it didn't have enough variety in the advancements. You saw repeated ones, there were duplicates of some advancements, and it badly needed expanding. Well, by now, this is the 3rd expansion, so if you've been collecting them all from the start, you're going to have a decent amount of variety, because this adds more advancements as well. Of course, we'll get onto the side effect of that a little bit later. So we've had, I think, Veil of Magic was the first one, and then we had Veil of the Wild, which introduced leaders into the mix, and possibly the Eclipse advancement. I can't remember if it did or not, but I'll go into it with this one anyway, because it's repeated. And now we have Manor Storm that adds Amulets to the mix, as well as bolstering the advancements and leaders from before. So what's new in this expansion? Well, first off, the Eclipse advancement. I think it's, I can't recall if it was in the previous expansion, but if not, I'll go through it here. Basically, it's a addition on a card that means you can cover it with another advancement. Pure and simple. Normally, once it was there, you could not sleeve over it. Well, Eclipse advancements are designed to be sleeved over because there'll be a, you know, one of those long bar effects on the card. So effectively, you're almost making a card that's got 4 effects on it rather than just the 3, if that makes sense. You know, you've almost got like a card with 4 advancements on it. It's a neat little idea, it adds to some strategy, but like I say, it's a fairly minor change to the game. It's already got the leaders from Vale of the Wild in this expansion, so you just end up with some additional leaders. They are essentially cards that you sleeve into a blank card to start the game with, and then you can pay the cost to upgrade them, and then they're worth points at the end of the game or get you some cool in-game abilities. They kind of give you a strategy to aim for. They help direct new players. They're great. I use them in every game, no questions asked, and it's good to get more of them. The main new change here is Amulets. Now, in the past, you had a mana token that you kept. It determined the starting player, but it also was a bonus mana you got each round if you spoiled. This is when you lay out your cards, and if you accidentally spoil, you basically flip the token over. Well, the Amulets replaced that. Because, yeah, it's nice to get a bonus mana, but it's not exactly that interesting, is it? It's like, ooh, 1 bonus mana, whoopee. Well, in this, you now have these abilities. They're called Amulets, and basically you evoke the ability on the token, and then flip it over. If you spoil, you get to flip it back again. So it's got the same rule as the previous mana tokens, but each of these amulets has a different ability. It could be that you could use an advancement on the same turn you buy it. It could be that your certain things are worth double at the end of the game. It could be that you're able to actually not spoil instantly. You know, there's some cool abilities from them, but they have... I mean, you're probably worried about balance, but what they do is in this expansion you now have negative victory points printed on these cards, and the amulets in fact. So if you are going to use a really cool ability, you've got to accept that it's going to give you negative points at the end of the game, and so you need to make up for that. And the idea is that the more powerful the amulet ability, the more negative points it's worth. In terms of balance, ho-hum. There have been some I found more useful than others, but you have to bear in mind that if you're taking an amulet that's got a really cool ability on it and it's got -4 on it, if someone takes a fairly bleh, normal ability that's got +1 or 2 on it, that's a 5 or 6 point swing that opponent has over you, and making up that many points can be harder than you think if that opponent is playing competently. So yeah, there's more to it than meets the eye. But I like it that they change up that initial mechanic. It's no more complicated than the original version. You spoil, flip it, use it, flip it back, wait till you spoil, flip it again. Same rules as before. So it's not like you're teaching anything new. You just have one extra ability that you may or may not want to, use on occasion. You don't even have to use the amulet ever in a game. You might never spoil. Great, then you don't need to use the amulet. Although, I will say, if you're taking an amulet that's worth negative points, you probably are going to want to use it every now and again to make up for those negative points. But you could take one that's neutral, or plus points, and just say, you know what, I'm never really going to use this ability, but at least I don't have a starting disadvantage. So there's a little strategic element in there as well. But other than that, the main thing for this is more advancements. And yeah, more of the same, always good to add to the variety. In terms of what they add, I'm actually quite impressed with what this expansion has compared to previous ones. Veil of Magic was okay. It added a bit more of those Guardian symbol cards and a few little bits and bobs, but nothing spectacular in it. If I was going to rank all three, I'd probably say you could get that one last now. Veil of the Wild is a very cool one. It added some neat abilities, added some neat cards, but because it brought in the leaders for the first time, I would say that's probably the first one you should get, because I think the leaders are an auto-include. This one is so far ranking as a kind of second of the three to get. Don't get this one first. Grab the Veil of the Wild first, but then grab this one. Because the advancements in here add a lot of interesting strategic options that you haven't seen before. There's a guy in particular, I think he's a level 2 guy, Gaia's kin, who, if you play him, he's worth points at the end of the game based on how many blank cards you have in your deck. So he actually directs you to make a deck that has several uber powerful cards, but with a bunch of blank ones. And the more of those you use, the more points you get. Interesting change in the strategy. There's another advancement, with Eclipse effects, like I mentioned before. You've got some advancements that give you points, like they double the value of, like victory points that you get on the cards. But of course they come with a big negative, some very interesting stuff there. There's even a Veil card in this, which I found quite amusing, which it costs you 30 mana to buy. 30! That's insane! But it gives you 18 victory points. And if that Veil card is showing near the start, you might just make that your goal of the game. To say, you know what, I'm going to grab that card. Somehow I'm going to do it. and then you spend your whole game getting cards, collecting as much mana as you can until eventually you're able to buy that card. Will it win you the game or not? Who knows? But it's a kind of push your luck system that, could go away and add another strategy to the game. Other Vale cards, other advancement cards include the Dawnfire Dragon, who gives you extra points based on how many level 3 advancements that you've bought. So your strategy might be to try and collect as many of those level 3 advancements, even if you're not going to get many of them during the game. I love the way that it just opens up new possibilities, and each expansion has done this to a degree. This one I think has gone a step further in adding to the list of strategies that you can do. Certainly, this is why I put this number 2 on my which expansion should you get list. The leader cards are also pretty varied in how they work. I mentioned blank cards a second ago. There's a Mana Weaver leader in here who gets you extra mana based on how many blank cards are in your field. So again, combos really well with that advancement I just mentioned about having blank cards. And if you just get one or the other, well then it could be a sizable amount of mana to make up for a turn where you've just got a bunch of dud cards. The leader I specifically like in this, I need to just check her name, Xenos, sorry. And Xenos has a ridiculously good ability. She gives you 3 green tree symbols. That means you can have 3 spoil symbols cancelled out on a turn. Wow, that is fantastic. Bit of a caveat though. Not only does she flip when you've used her in a turn, so you can't constantly have it, you have to keep paying the upgrade cost and flipping it. But if the game ends while she's on a flip side, she's worth a negative 40 points. If she's on the normal side, fine. But if the game ends when she's flipped, you lose a bucket of points. Like pretty much game-ending level of points. And that's a really cool push of luck one. I really enjoyed using that one. Because at all times I'm thinking, yes, I'm getting this effect. But then as it gets to the end game, you're thinking, I could really use her effect, but are you about to end the game? Could you end it? How's that victory point pile looking? Gotta be careful. And I've not been caught out with it, but I've been close. Like thinking, oh my god, it's going to end. Oh, 1 point left, quickly, flip it back over. And again, adds a new strategic element, adds a new way of playing. So, gotta give props to the expansion for that. Now let's get on to some issues. Firstly, if this is your second expansion, you're okay. If this is your first expansion, you're okay. If you have bought all the expansions to date, say goodbye to the insert in Mystic Vale, because you're going to have to chuck it. I have tried. I have all these advancements, they're not sleeved to begin with, and obviously your decks are sleeved, but there's not enough divider space in this base box to account for all the expansions at once. And you would have to compress them really tightly to get them to fit, and I don't even think they can fit like that. And if you know how much of a pain it is to sometimes, separate out those advancements if they stick together, then you're not going to want to do that. So plastic insert had to go. Everything's now in a baggy form now. So, it's a bit of a shame. I wish that they'd maybe designed another insert maybe, or brought out like a bumper box. Maybe they'll do that in the future, I don't know. A bit like Smash Up. But, now I've basically got, advancements in the baggies, all the rule books at the bottom, tokens and amulets in the bag, spare sleeves, the starter decks. Everything's now bagged up, which is a shame because I did like having it all divided before. But, well, it is what it is. This is kind of normal when you get expansions for these sort of games. Eventually, the insert just can't cut it anymore, and you've got to ditch it. So, a bit of a shame. I wish it didn't have to be that way, but just bear that in mind if you've been getting every expansion to date. Of course, if you have been getting every expansion to date, you're going to run into the other issue that I have with all these expansions. My god, are they expensive. Very expensive. We're in a day and age where games are now costing a lot more than they used to. Sad times, it's just the way the economy is, especially if you're in the UK. But my god, each of these expansions, I have looked on UK board game prices just on my mobile phone. To get any of these expansions will cost you more than £20. Anywhere up to 25. And that's not even taking delivery into account. I mean, some of them will be free delivery. But yeah, you're looking at over £20, between £20 and £25 for each expansion. So if you've bought this game for £30, which to be fair is not a bad price for the base set, you're making up that cost in these expansions. And That's 30 plus say 20, let's say 20, the minimum. Let's say you got a discount or some special offer, so £20 per expansion. You're paying up short of £110 plus to have everything to do with Mystic Vale right now. That's a lot. Now, if you are a fan of Mystic Vale and you choose to pay that kind of money, that's fine. You know, I have a slight advantage where I'm getting review copies. So, you know, I've only had to, I think I bought this one at UK Games Expo, but then since then the expansions have come as review copies. So I've had an advantage, you know, gotta be honest here. But I can see exactly how that kind of money is going to put off a lot of people. And AEG, you need to bear this in mind. I know it's probably not cheap to have this artwork printed on this weird cellophane plastic card, but £20 to £25 per expansion is a lot of money to ask for people. And each one doesn't add tons of variety. The game is getting better and better and it's becoming more worth the cost because of the amount of variety it has now. But individually, you're only getting a few different advancements for each level. And you'll get a few leaders and unless you get the amulets. So you'll get a little bit of everything, but you're not getting a ton of content in each expansion for the cost of what is essentially a whole new game. £25? I can buy King of Tokyo with that. I can buy Splendor with that. I can buy Sushi Go Party with that. And they have got some pretty good amount of content for what's in that game. So it's a bit of a niggle with this. Granted, it's not a problem I've had to face, but I will accept that other people out there are going to struggle with that kind of cost for these expansions. If money is no object, then fine, grab these expansions. If you love the game, grab them because they are great. And once you've got several of them, they really do up the value of this game. In the order, like I said, Vale of the Wild first, get those leaders, get a good quantity of leaders and some advancements while you're at it. Then grab this one, because I think, money aside, it's a very solid expansion. I think the amulets are a cool little twist. I like that it adds to the leaders as well, so it hasn't just like been restricted to one expansion. And of course, more advancements are cool, and more Vale cards are cool, but I like the way that this one is a bit more interesting with regards to the strategies and combos that it creates compared to other expansions. So I say Vale of the Wild first, then this one, then Vale of Magic if you want to. You could almost skip Vale of Magic. It's got some interesting cards in it, but it literally is just more cards. There's nothing new in it, and if money is a bit of a like price point issue, then focus on the Wild and this one, and then you could leave Vale of Magic out. It's not essential. I mean, none of these are essential. I just think they're good. They're good expansions, but the price point is a problem. So that's Mystic Vale Manor Storm. If you like what you see, please upvote the video, subscribe to the channel, get in touch with me on Facebook, Twitter, and my local gaming groups. Let me know in the comments what you think of these expansions. Do you like Mystic Vale in general? Do you have a particular favourite expansion? Do you agree with me that the price point of these expansions is ridiculous? You know, whatever you want to tell me. So that's it for me. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple review. For now, take care, and remember, no matter how blighted the forest gets, it's still only a game. So I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.